Alright, what's up everyone? It's your boy Juicy, and we are back again with another episode of Juicy Real Talk. Now, as you can clearly see, I have two people with me today, okay? Number one, okay, yes, people, she's a person, my pet snake Charm, alright? But obviously, the legendary, the iconic, the godly, Jordan, what's up?
Peace, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, of course. So, guys, listen, I wanted to bring Jordan on because he's very important to me. But just like the snake was important to me, but
she's licking, tasting.
She's what?
She was licking, tasting, smelling me.
He's scared.
I'm scared.
But listen. So for anyone watching, snakes smell with their tongue. So he's not lick. She's really not licking.
I said smell. I corrected myself.
You did. But you're not in danger. But I'm gonna put her away. Okay. So just
she's beautiful.
You can just stare at him while I go put her up. It's gonna take 2 seconds. So don't be long.
He's telling you not to be long for him to.
Listen, okay? They understand. They get it. Seriously, Jordan is someone who, when I first met him, like just going through his before I met him, seeing his Instagram page, I was like, wow, this dude looked like someone who is very free, very earthy, someone that I felt like I was on the inside, even though physically I was, at the time, very invested in working for corporate America and very unhappy, you know, so I was like, wow, he's cool. Then we actually spoke. I reached out to him because you know me, always interviewing and doing shit. I was like, yo, I wanted to interview him to get his perspective on, because I knew at the time, like, he's a traveling yogi. So at the time, I'm like, okay, in his bio, he had all these different things. It was like traveling yogi. It was like the tantra masseuse or something like that. He's a vegan.
It's a Thai massage.
Nomad.
Acro yoga. Nomad.
So, yeah, we hit it off really great, and now we're here. So, Jordan, what's good in your world right now? For the people who are watching you, I guess I want to rephrase your question. For the people who may not know who you are, you know, this may be their first time seeing you, explain to the people watching, like, who are you and what do you do?
Cool. So right now in life, focusing on I'm traveling. I've been a traveler, so I've been basically nomadic and living my life in different locations for the past. Like about 2 years ago when I met Juicy here, and I've been traveling for about that long period of time, spending pretty much half of the year out of the U.S., like in tropical countries like Malaysia, Costa Rica, Thailand, Indonesia. What is the other one? Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Costa Rica, and Guatemala for sure. I spent a lot of time in those countries, and just eating lots of tropical fruits, and I pretty much have been eating a fruit-based vegan diet, but predominantly based in fruits and raw foods for the past 4 or 5 years, and that's really just up-leveled my health in a major way, and helped me get into more forms of movement like yoga and acro yoga and.
Okay, so sorry. For the people who don't know what acro yoga is, what's acro yoga?
Acro yoga is basically a combination of acrobatics and yoga. Basically, the acrobatic portion is just like human-powered flight and lifting each other up off the ground, and the yoga incorporates more of the mindfulness aspect and sort of the resemblance to some yoga practice, yoga poses. And so, yeah, I've been doing that for about 3.5 years. And I pretty much like to share that with anyone who's interested in movement, and I sort of pair that with the Thai massage as well, and do sort of an acro therapeutic massage stretching therapy. Yeah.
Awesome. I know there may be some people who still eat meat, but you're interested in becoming a vegan, and so he is someone. And this is a very true statement. We had a phone conversation back in 2018, so 2 years ago. Almost going on 3, but 2 years ago, and I was telling him how I was trying to go vegetarian at the time. I'm a vegan now, but at the time I was trying to go vegetarian, so I was trying to give up meat. And literally, after the conversation with him, that was it. I was like, fuck it. I was like, no more. Like, this is all the confirmation that I needed. So, with that being said, we're going to talk to you guys about just giving tips and suggestions and kind of talking about our journeys, because this guy here, he is from Mississippi, okay? So he's gonna, I feel like if you come from Mississippi, you got the pork chops, you got the lima beans. Well, that's a good thing. But you have like the mac and cheese, the cornbread.
Yeah, it's like dairy, butter, and everything. There's like meat and like fat back and bacon and ham hock and neck bones and turkey necks in all the vegetables.
Literally, no. And look, even as a vegetarian, I was so mad at my auntie. So I go to my auntie's house. I'm like, okay, I can at least get the cornbread. This put like pork grease, and she found a way to put that. I'm like, hold on, why are we putting like pork? Why is a piglet in the bread? I was so upset. But anyway, so just be mindful and be careful. But anyway, what we're trying to say is he's come from the dirty South, and I used to be the hot wing king. Okay. Extra crispy, how to do it? Let me get hot, extra crispy,
hot lemon pepper, all flats,
blue
extra
cheese.
fried hard. Okay.
Okay.
Blue cheese, the extra fermented cow pus.
American Deli. What was the other ones? Atlanta
wings.
Okay. Get obese quick. Get high blood pressure quick. Get diabetes. Stop.
Freshman 15 in college, all that good stuff.
Yes. So that's where we came from. So we know it can be done. If I can become a vegan. Even with all this, we're gonna work on that. Okay. But if I can become a vegan, if he can become a vegan, you can do it too. So let's talk about your journey to becoming a vegan. How did that look?
Yeah, so for me, it was pretty much kind of like an overnight thing or very short period of time between when I became like aware of veganism and of this sort of plant-based diet that you can live and be healthy while avoiding eating animals. It was a very short period of time between me learning about this plant-based diet and then me like just doing it and jumping on it. And so I was a senior at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And, at this point I was living off campus, and the roommates that I had, they were kind of like, not being that responsible with the bills. So we ended up kind of like not being able to stay there temporarily. And I basically was kind of like homeless, but I had a friend who I was playing in a band with, and he opened up his room to me over the winter break for me to kind of like stay there and just kind of regroup and finish out the semester and get my finals done.
Okay.
And so really while I was staying with him in the little 5 Points area, I was walking to the shopping center every day, and in the neighborhood there was this little free library with like some books in it. You can like take a book and leave a book or whatever, just community, honor system based. And like, this was the book started talking about animal agriculture, and really it started talking about how animal protein was the leading cause of heart disease and like death,
cancer.
Basically. Yeah, literally.
Right.
And so I was like, wow, I didn't know there was any sort of dietary connection between the diseases that are like plaguing my family as an African American, in the South. We got everybody got diabetes and got a hole in their foot.
That big mama, got
leg cut off.
It's like, why when we get in our 60s, 70s, 80s, we gotta go out. Like we all gonna go out, but you don't want to go out your last, for a whole decade or so, or whatever. Just obese, on pills.
Yeah, I mean, they specifically remember being told like, basically African Americans are more prone to like cancer and like diabetes and stuff. And then no one ever said why. They just said, it's just because they're black, our genes are just broken.
Right.
But when I realized that, it's the actual animal, it's the foods that we eat typically as a African American population. And so it talked about the disease in the animals. It talked about the environmental implications of the wasting of resources to feed and house and grow these animals, and what their waste does to our planet. And then
it's really sad.
And then it talked about just in general, if it's not healthy for us and it's not good for the planet, then like, what is the ethic behind actually putting these animals through suffering and through killing them at all if it's not necessary for our health?
Yes.
But now this was the first time I ever heard this information, so I was like, okay, maybe I gotta look into some other resources, because this one book is kind of going against everything I've been taught my whole life. So I kind of went to the handy dandy internet and the googly, and shout out to YouTube and Google.
Yes.
For
I wanted to share my journey, and I feel like some people, this worked for me, and this may work for so many people. And you and I, we had like I said, I just recently, officially, like intentionally went vegan, because I eat vegan meals a lot, but I intentionally went vegan was it like maybe 3 or 4 days ago? Whenever I text you, was the day I finalized. It was like 4 days ago.
So he's been vegetarian ever since the day we first talked.
Yes.
But he pretty much let go of like dairy and just all the other, whatever animal stuff, if they're sneaking into whatever other foods, he's made the conscious choice a couple days ago to just...
Exactly. But you and I had a very good conversation. This was in Brooklyn. We were in Brooklyn, New York. It was like latest night, latest fuck. We was probably high as shit too. But
it was eating falafel or something.
Yes, you remember. It was like 3 o'clock, probably 2. It was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, we were out there in the middle of the street, and we were having a conversation. And I was talking about, because we were talking about veganism, and my thing, I was more so at the time focused on it being about health, like, people. I was saying how it's cool for the person to think about it from about their physical body and their health, and that could just be it. But his argument was no, we also have to think about the moral aspect, and it should be about the animals, right? Like it should be having that empathy, because he also mentioned that if you for whatever reason feel like, hey, fuck it,
I want to be healthy today.
I can just eat a burger today. I'll be okay. That's easy as hell for you to go back to eating meat. But when you realize the deeper meaning for the animals, and when you understand energy and karma and how that shit works, okay? Because in my mind, I'm like, look, I get this. All these people are being specious, but they're being very self-centered humans, saying that we matter most, right? So you put these animals through hell, really, when you think about it. That's their version, like that's hell, right? And so it's like, I'm gonna put these animals through hell and not have a consequence, right? Like, no, God, the creator, the creator created animals for a reason, just like he created humans for a reason, just like he created plants for a reason. Okay, everything has a reason, so you can't say my reason is more important than the other one's reason when we're all earthlings, right? So I made the conscious step. I'm like, okay, it's beyond me. So no, I'm not gonna slip up and go back. Because it's so funny. People say, "How can you not eat meat?" I'm like, ew. Like,
no, I don't want to.
A day, like when you really think about it. It's like, wow, the stuff that you're putting in your body.
We don't actually like meat though. That's what
we were brainwashed.
That's what helped me when I first watched a couple YouTube videos about veganism. They mentioned how like it's not really the flesh. If we really were designed to eat flesh and like flesh, we would have carnivorous instincts to run up to like living, breathing mammals and squirrels and whatever animal, cows, chickens, pigs, and just run up, catch them, and bite them with our teeth, and eat and suckling with the blood and all of that. But we're not attracted to that. We actually have to like kill it behind closed doors, and we don't want to hear the smells or the screams or see the blood, and then have to skin it and make it all smooth and clean and smell nice and sprinkle it with herbs and plants and cook all the blood out and make it really tender, pretty much like a piece of fruit or flesh.
Yeah, it's like your food shouldn't go through that many processes.
Just to be able to tolerate and eating it. It's really just the seasoning and the process that we like. And we're addicted to it. I mean, at this point...
Marketing.
Yeah, marketing. We've been fed it since we've been a child, so we don't actually know any difference. We say it's a choice to eat meat, but we never chose to eat it, you know? And it's like, so is anything really a choice if you don't have the awareness of other options? Once I found out about veganism and started to realize, that throughout most of my entire life, I never actually was attracted to the idea of eating the animals, the meat itself. It was always just, it tastes good. You know, my favorite part of it, like I would get in trouble for like not eating all the chicken off my bones. But looking back at it, it's just because the seasoning wasn't, like only the skin and the seasoning tasted the best. And like the best part of the, you know, the juiciest part of the chicken. Like I wasn't attracted to my cousin, my family would eat my gristle. You want your fat? No, you can have my fat, my gristle, because I just didn't even like it. As much as I love bacon, it had to be crispy. I didn't want fatty and gooey bacon. And that's just my personal thing. And
I want to touch bases. You had mentioned something earlier that I want to piggyback off of. You mentioned this was like referencing people comparing. Sometimes people who still eat meat will be like, well, animals eat meat in the wild. Listen, also, when these animals eat, let's say I'm an animal, let's say I'm a zebra that just got eaten by a lion, right? I have lived a free life and then I died. We're all gonna die. So the difference is that zebra was able to run around free, was able to have sex, was able to have a life, have fun, and then it died, like we all will. However, the difference is, let's say a cow, for example, because you want to eat beef, you want to eat a yogurt, you want to drink milk, that cow or that pig literally was just created, is in this little form, is beat, abused, okay? You know what I'm saying? Didn't actually get no type of freedom, no type of life. Everything about you was a man hitting you or injecting you with something, and then you die. That's the difference. One animal had a life, the other one did not have a freaking life. Okay? You're putting that energy and lifelessness into your bodies, and people wonder why they're depressed.
For sure. But what about this though? I mean, some people probably agree with that, and they'll say, okay, well, I'll just raise my animals, I'll just raise my animals with a happy life, and then I'll kill them and eat them for food. So, like, you know, because they're saying, okay, the lion, you know, he didn't bother the zebra till it was time to go. Okay, what if I just raise my cows until it's time, they happy and roam free until it's time to go.
So you raise your cows, you develop relationship with them. You may as well eat your goddamn child at that point. I mean, no, seriously, you built a rapport, you raised it, you saw that damn cow be born, and here you go. How can you morally and ethically be like, little Billy tastes good? Moo.
Yeah, so
do you like animals? Like, do you really like animals?
That's the whole thing. It's just not really food for us. Like, lions don't have a sort of moral compass that tells them anything's wrong with eating a zebra. We don't want to be like sensually involved in the process of our animal eating. Like, if you really enjoy eating animals, just go visit a slaughterhouse. Like, just go visit one. Or if you don't want to go visit, ask yourself, why don't you want to go visit? You know, is it morally okay to eat the dead bodies of beings that you wouldn't kill yourself or wouldn't watch being killed?
Right. And why do they think about why the slaughterhouse is so far away? Obviously, the smell is going to reap. And clearly, it's super bad for the environment, but we're all going to feel it. But also think about why they strategically, besides those factors, put them that far away. When I was living, let me tell you guys, when I was living in the Bronx, I wasn't living in the Bronx, but I had a friend who was in the Bronx that I would go out and see a lot. And to get to his house, I had to pass, because you know, in New York City, it's like a lot of stuff is just right there. So they had a butchery right off the street. You smell that thing from blocks away, but you get up to it, and it was the most saddest thing ever. Literally, you hear the screams, you hear the cries, you see their. So you got to understand, these animals are stacked on top of each other. They're peeing on top of each other, they're shitting on top of each other, and all that stuff I saw the drainage just come out into the freaking street, okay? It is horrible what they go through. So, you know, fortunately for a lot of people, if you don't live in Brooklyn or the Bronx or certain places that have it in your vicinity, you don't smell. But my thing is, and I'll let you talk, my thing is, how do people walk past that, smell that stench, hear the cries, the wails, and still like eat meat? It was just, they're deep
On that
into
note,
it.
I can answer that question. What you and I went to college for: marketing.
Boom.
This is why people can turn a blind eye to something that literally just would betray their entire soul. They can literally just turn a blind eye to it because they've been conditioned that it's okay and that it's okay. And so really veganism, outside of racial oppression and just my own, journey as a black person, knowing that we live in sort of a white supremacist system, veganism was the first time that I was aware of another form of systemic oppression, and one where I wasn't the victim.
You are now the oppressor. Well, not anymore,
for sure.
But we were oppressors.
Well, for sure. As humans, a species that I belong to, a group that I belong to. So peep this analogy: whether you're white and you have black friends or not, or whether you're a man and you have female friends or not, or whether you're a human and you have pets or not, as humans, we're part of a species and a general culture, a system that is
designed
to oppress animals and marginalized humans in general. It's like animals are suffering alongside us humans under the great hand of capitalism and other forms of oppression, white supremacy and patriarchy and all these things.
So you can't say you're woke and you're conscious and say that you want equality, but you are still the oppressor to someone who you don't even see as equal to you just because they're not a human. Okay? Listen.
But not even equal, animals, but don't even see it as valuable. Don't even see it as a life. Don't even see it as victims.
Right.
Animals are victimized to such an extent that they're not even considered victims. They're just things to us.
Right. And
they're not
they treat them like products. American society is so used to product, build a factory, make this what it is, right? Okay, let's just create these animals like they're like, you know what I mean? Like using a whole life, like creating life, something that's supposed to be a beautiful thing, and making them as a research product. Don't get me started on animal testing. Okay, I don't even think you're all ready for that conversation. Okay, all right. Yeah. But it's just like using animals as
the argument for animal testing is so stupid, right? It's like, why do we test on animals? Well, why don't we eat animals? Oh, well, why do we eat animals? Well, people say, like, why do we eat animals? Because they're nothing like us. They're different. They're less than us, so we can eat animals. Why do we test on animals? Oh, because they're close enough like us that the results will help us.
Yes, good point.
Which one is it? They're different from us, or they're the same?
I like how you did that. That was clever. That's
the cognitive dissonance.
No,
I'm here with it.
That was clever. You see what I'm saying?
That's the cognitive dissonance of not being vegan. Not being vegan is basically just being incongruent with your actual beliefs and your actual values.
And listen, guys, this is not an attack. This is an awakening, okay? We're trying to get you guys to wake up. We were lost in the sauce too, okay? The same way that people, like for example, I was caught up, and you probably were too. That's why we went to college. So a lot of us were caught up in the capitalistic world, or just caught up in things that were passed down and forced to us, right? Yeah. So we were victims of, bad habits that were put onto us, right? Yeah. It's funny to me, a lot of adults, they break bad habits, like, oh, I used to do this, so I stopped doing this. So my thing is, when it comes to meat, why can't you also realize that, hey, that's a bad habit, let me stop doing that,
Okay, it's bad.
And it's an addiction. It's so deep rooted that people will disregard an entire life, literally. I'm talking about animals' life.
Because they like the way it tastes.
Because it tastes good. Oh, you know what gets me annoyed now? Especially knowing that we were, because I was there.
He was there more recently.
It gets me annoyed because I'm like, bitch, I did this shit too, bitch. I didn't wake up a vegan. I didn't grow up in a vegan home, okay? We eating pork chops and everything. So I'm like, if I can do
that's to me that's part of the reason why I went vegan. Once I started to be educated about the system and how it conditioned me to eat animals and conditioned me to not even question it. Like, I ate animals my whole life and I never even thought of it. I never even questioned it. And it's the fact that there was a system that had conditioned my mother, who loved me, to do the best thing that she possibly thought was doing for me, and to give me animal flesh and cow, the breast milk of another animal species that had its baby stolen.
Right? It's weird.
A system that would do that would teach its constituents to basically do self-harm and harm of their own children and harm of the other beings in that system. If anything, me going vegan was just to at least try to spite that system. Like, who knows if veganism is healthy? I mean, back when I first tried, I was like, I don't know. This is new information, but it's at least worth a try. Because if they go through this much effort to make sure that I don't even consider not eating animals, there must be something there.
This guy, you got to give him his prop. He became a vegan earlier in the game. You guys, you really have no excuse. There are so many more vegan restaurants.
There was no Impossible Burger. There was no Beyond.
There are so many vegan restaurants. There's so many vegan options or vegetarian options on the menu.
It's just like everybody's welcome.
You have videos like this that you have access to. You literally are having everything handed to you. If you have Google, okay, and if you are watching this video, first of all, thank you, because that means that you're investing this time and you really do care.
We preach it to the choir because you're part of the Ascension tribe. So
preach it now.